Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we are going to discuss about a simple topic, but the most important one when it comes to the questions, whether it is 3-mark question, whether it is 6-mark question, whether it is 4-mark question from partnership. Most of the time this area creates a confusion among the students, okay, which is nothing other than the profit sharing ratio calculations. Okay, what is actually profit sharing ratio? What are the ratios involved in different situations like admission? What are the ratios that we have to calculate? In retirement, what are the ratios that we are supposed to calculate? This is what we are going to discuss today. So as an outline, I would like to say or ask you, okay, first of all, what is a profit sharing ratio? So what is a profit sharing ratio? When it comes to profit sharing ratio, we know, all of us know, profit sharing ratio is a ratio in which 2 or 3 partners or more than 3 partners decide to share the profits in some kind of proportions or in some kind of arrangement. They are planning to share the ratio. In some way they are planning to split the profit in that particular ratio. Ratios you must have studied in math in the younger this junior classes. You must have studied 10th, 9th, all these classes you must have come across ratios, proportions and all. Okay, so I'm not going into that. So ratio means if we have split a total value into 2 or 3 parts, that is basically called ratio. That is mathematical ratio. Here we are discussing about profit sharing ratio, where profit sharing ratio is nothing. When the profit is split into 2 or 3 parts, it becomes a profit sharing ratio. Okay, in accounting, profit sharing ratio is that. Okay, simple thing only. Basically both ratios are similar only. Okay, but then coming to this, okay, profit sharing ratio, we are not bothered about the profit sharing ratio which partners fixes or fix at the first time. That means me along with my friend and his friend, 3 of us are planning to start a partnership, and the ratio in which we agree to share the profits in future, basically that ratio is called profit sharing ratio. Most of the time it will be given in the question only. We are not bothered about that ratio. Say for example, it is 3:2:1 between me and my friend and his friend. All of us together, if we start a partnership firm and if we fix a profit sharing ratio like this 3:2:1, this ratio in which we are planning to share the profit is called basically profit sharing ratio. Okay, so everyone is aware of that. Problem is not there. Problem will come when something happens to this partnership. That means at any time we may change this ratio. That means we 3 of us can change the ratio into something else. I'm planning like next year onwards we will be sharing profits in the ratio of 2:3:1. Okay, so what do you call this ratio which comes new? Obviously for the numerical purpose we can call it as new profit sharing ratio. So this is an example of where profit sharing ratio changes. In every situation or any change that happens to the basic structure of the partnership leads to a change in profit sharing ratio. So basically what does that mean? The ratio in which partners are sharing the profits may be changed if any change happens to the basic structure of the partnership. What is the basic structure? Already there are 3 partners, 3 of us. Just let us always remember the example that we started with. So we 3 are partners. Tomorrow or in future we are planning to change the ratio into something else. Basically the structure of the partnership itself is changing there, because till now our structure was based, the base of our structure was 3:2:1 ratio. Now it is being changed to 2:3:1 ratio. So obviously our structure is getting changed. These kind of situations are called reconstitution of partnership firm. What is it called? Reconstitution of partnership firm. So can we make this change just like that? I'm telling my friend or my 2 other friends or 2 other partners that tomorrow onwards we are going to change the ratio into this. Will it just work like that? No. We have to modify our partnership agreement which we made already while starting the partnership. All the partners have to make an agreement. That agreement should be modified. Then only this change can be brought into effect. So for that purpose, what are we going to do? We will take the old agreement, cancel it. We will make the new agreement and place it in the place of which agreement? The old agreement. So this process also should be there to call it or so that we can call that situation as reconstitution of partnership firm. So basically what is reconstitution of partnership? It is a situation where 2 or 3 partners were running the business and it changes to something else. Some changes, basic major changes happens in the business. That is basically called reconstitution of partnership. In reconstitution of partnership, what is basically happening? The existing agreement gets cancelled and new agreement comes into its place. This is what is called reconstitution. So if I say like this, okay, reconstitution of partnership, in the given example, before the change also we 3 were there as the partners, after the change also we 3 are there as the partners, right? Okay, is it always necessary that after every change partners, same number of partners, same people should continue the business? No. So there are situations like, this is one example for reconstitution which I said. This case, actually this situation which I just discussed is called change in profit sharing ratio situation. So those who are doing class 12 accounts, you must have already crossed the chapter called change in profit sharing ratio chapter. So this is actually from that chapter which I discussed just now, an example of reconstitution. Any other cases of reconstitution? Just imagine that we 3 were partners. We are adding one more partner into the business. So obviously one new person is coming into the business. So can we share the profit in same 3:2:1? I'm just striking out that 2:3:1. Now we are discussing a new example. Okay. So already we were sharing profits in the ratio of 3:2:1. One new person is coming from the business, coming from outside into the business. So can he share the profit in the same ratio? No. When a new person comes, obviously the existing partners will be sacrificing some amount of profit in favor of the new partner, right? So this old profit sharing ratio will be automatically changed. So some other ratio may become, say for example, new profit sharing ratio may become 4:3:2:1, where the last one belongs to whom? The new partner. So how will you convert it into fraction? All these ratios, how will you convert it into fraction? This 4 will become 4 out of 10. How 10 came? 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. So 4/10 is the new share of first person. Just think like I am the first person. So my share will become 4:4/10. The last person, that is the new person, he will get 1/10 share. This 1/10, if he needs to get 1/10 share, obviously it should be given by one of us or all of us or some of us. So we already are 3 partners in the business. Some of us should sacrifice something for the new person. So in that situation, basically there exists a situation of sacrifice. We are sacrificing. Maybe all the remaining partners are sacrificing, or some of us will be sacrificing, and the other end, the new person who is coming into the business will be gaining something. So this situation where a person comes into the business, here also ratio is changing. So structure is changing. So this is also an example for which one? Reconstitution of partnership, which we discussed just before. Okay. Next example, just forget about the new person again. Same, we are 3 partners. We are sharing profits in the ratio of 3:2:1. One person is leaving the business. Say for example, 3 is my share. I am quitting. Okay. Or I am leaving the business because of some reasons. I am leaving the business. In that situation, who is going to sacrifice? Obviously, I am the one who is going to sacrifice, because so far I was getting 3/6 share in the profits. Now when I leave, hereafter I am not eligible for that 3/6 share of profit. So my share of profit also will be enjoyed by whom? The people who are continuing in the business. So this is also an example where profit sharing ratio changes. So in future, those people who are staying in the business may be sharing profit in some other ratio. Not maybe, they will be sharing the profit in some other ratio. So obviously profit sharing ratio changes here also. So in this case also, some people are gaining. Who is gaining? Maybe the remaining, both the partners may be gaining. Sometimes only one partner will be gaining. It depends on the situation. So most of the times the remaining partners, both of them will gain. Okay. So in this case also there is a change in profit sharing ratio, because in the place of 3:2:1, some other ratio, say for example 5:1 comes into existence. So profit sharing ratio changes. So here also ratio is changing, and the situation which leads to this change is basically called retirement of a partner. What is it called? Retirement of a partner. Retirement means what? A person is leaving the business. So this is also an example for reconstitution of partnership firm. So we have discussed so far 3 examples. First one was change in profit sharing ratio, where the existing partners decide to change their ratio into something else in future. Second situation was when a new person comes into the business, the ratio in which the existing partners share the profit changes because one person is coming here. Okay. Third situation was among the already existing partners, 1 or 2 decides to leave the business. That is called retirement of a partner. Now next case, similar to retirement. Next case, similar to retirement. What if 3 partners were there and one of them died? Obviously it is same like retirement only, right? Some people, because of the death of the person, some people will gain out of this, and some people, obviously the person who dies, will lose the share of profit which he had in the partnership generally. So that is also similar to retirement. So his share of profit, the person who died, we used to call that person as deceased partner. So deceased partner's share of profit will be taken by the other partners. Okay, so here also new profit sharing ratio will be coming because one person is no more. So in all these situations, these are all examples. So when a person dies, that situation is called death of a partner. So death of the partner also leads to change in profit sharing ratio, right? So in all these situations, so all these are examples for reconstitution of partnership firm. I hope that I made that concept clear. Okay, now what are we going to do? Okay, why we discussed all these things? If you have observed, starting from the first example, that is when 3 existing partners decide to change their profit sharing ratio into something else, some partners will be gaining from all these changes, some partners will be sacrificing from all these changes. So just imagine that we 3 were partners, the ratio was 3:2:1. Now the ratio is going to be 1:2:3. 1:2:3. This is a very simple question. So 1:2:3 means some people will be gaining out of it, some people will be sacrificing out of it. So if majority of the people are gaining, their gain can be put together and we can call it as gaining ratio. So if majority of the people are gaining, their gain can be put together and we can call it as a gaining ratio. This is applicable to all the chapters. This is actually these 4 situations which I said or which we discussed now is actually the name of 4 chapters in your textbook. Okay, first chapter is obviously change in profit sharing ratio. First chapter is something else. First chapter from reconstitution is change in profit sharing ratio. Okay, second chapter related to reconstitution is admission of a partner. Third chapter is retirement of a partner, and fourth chapter is death of a partner. Sometimes retirement and death comes together. So in all these chapters, so we are discussing some common topics from all these chapters, where when a person leaves, when something happens to the partnership structure, some people will sacrifice because of that, some people will gain because of that. So that gain or sacrifice is what we discussed about today. Okay, now coming to first situation, that means there were 3 partners sharing profits in the ratio 3:2:1. Now they are going to share the profits in 1:2:3 ratio. Okay, 1:2:3 ratio. So when we do it, one is to 2:3 ratio, when we do it, basically what is happening? Some people are gaining, some people are sacrificing. And if majority of the people are gaining or sacrificing, that ratios can be put together and we can call it as, if majority of them are gaining, we can call it as gaining ratio. If majority of them are sacrificing, we can call it as sacrificing ratio. Okay. Now in this example, how to find out the gain or sacrifice? You are already expert in all these things. Okay, why I am discussing all these things is so that you can relate this concept to all the chapters, and calculation will be, you can apply the same method in all the chapters. Concept is clear means obviously you can apply it uniformly across the chapters. That is the reason why we are discussing like this today. Okay, so coming to this 3:2, so how to find out gain or sacrifice from a transaction or from a change in profit sharing ratio? So for that we will write old profit sharing ratio. What was the old profit sharing ratio? 3:2:1. Now new profit sharing ratio, we already know that new profit sharing ratio is 1:2:3. So in order to calculate gain or sacrifice, the formula is, in order to calculate the gain or sacrifice, the formula is, so I will take partner's name as A, B, C. So first A's gain or sacrifice. How to calculate A's gain or sacrifice? A's old share 3 out of 6 was there before. Now he is getting 1 out of 6. You observe the first two values, 3 out of 6 and 1 out of 6. So basically it is 2 by 6. 2 by 6. If you are getting, what did I do here? A's old share minus A's new share. So this is the formula that you are supposed to use if you are not sure he is particularly gaining or he is particularly sacrificing. I repeat, when there is a situation where we are not sure when the person is gaining or sacrificing, in order to find out gain or sacrifice, you will be using the formula old share minus new share. What is the formula? Old share minus new share. Why we are using this formula? Because we are not sure whether that person is particularly, we are not clear whether he is gaining or sacrificing. After finding out the value only, we will get to know whether he is gaining or sacrificing. So if you are getting a positive value as an answer, here you know positive 2 by 6 is the answer. In that case, it will be a sacrifice. If it is positive value as the answer, then that person will be sacrificing. Next situation is B's gain or sacrifice. B's old share was how much? 2 out of 6, as you can see, 2 out of 6, and new share is also 2 out of 6. So basically 2 by 6 minus 2 by 6 equal to basically 0. Okay. So what does that mean? You don't have to write it in fraction and all, just write 0, that is enough. So we can write no gain or sacrifice because of all these things. If 0 is coming as the answer, then that person is not gaining anything or sacrificing anything. This is how you have to do. Third person, C's gain or sacrifice. C's gain or sacrifice. Previously C had 1 share, 1 out of 6, 1 by 6 minus, now C has 3 by 6. Three by 6. 1 minus 3, you are getting negative 2 by 6 as answer. If you are getting negative 2, then the meaning is the person is gaining. Now as you can see, out of 3 partners, 1 partner is sacrificing, 1 partner is gaining. So there is nothing that we can combine together and call it as a gaining ratio or sacrificing ratio, but gain is there. Hope that makes it clear. Okay. If more than one person is gaining, you can put together those values and call it as gaining ratio. Here we can just call it as gain. Okay. Now coming to this question. So like this, in every situation, admission, whether it will be admission, whether it is retirement, whether it is any chapter, okay, whether it is any topic, in all these chapters, some people will be gaining, some people will be sacrificing. How to identify whether they are talking about which gaining ratio in the question, sacrificing ratio in the question. What is sacrificing ratio? Just before we discussed, if you are putting together the sacrifice of more than one partner in the form of a ratio, then that ratio is called sacrificing ratio. So to find out all these things, so to connect you with all these cases, I have just brought a question here. When new partners, that is just the title of the question, when new partners acquires his share from old partners in agreed share. Here this is the situation of admission of a partner. We are just discussing this question just so that you can relate these concepts into practical numerical questions. Okay, all these concepts, gaining ratio, sacrificing ratio, okay, gain, sacrifice, old share, new share, all these things. So here you can see L and M are partners in a firm sharing profits and losses in the ratio of 7:3. They admitted N for 3 by 7th share, which he takes 2 by 7 from L and 1 by 7 from M. So here the key word, if you ask me what is the main word that you have to focus on, is from. Okay, from is the main keyword that you have to remember when you are solving this question. Okay, so why it is important, or why these kind of questions are important? Because this is not a question that comes just like that for 1 or 3 marks. it may come even in 6-mark question when you are preparing the revaluation account or balance sheet of the partners. So revaluation account, capital account and balance sheet of the partners. So in those situations also, for doing certain calculations, already you are aware of it, certain calculations like distributing goodwill, that means the compensation between the partners. When a new partner comes into the business, obviously he has to compensate the continuing partners, that means existing partners, for with some amount of compensation. That compensation is basically called what? Goodwill. So to find out goodwill and all, we need to know who is gaining, who is sacrificing. Okay, so gaining partner, we will find out how much he is gaining, we need to find out, and how much other people are sacrificing, we need to find out, and we have to exchange the amount between these people. Okay, that is how it should be done. So here you can see L and M are sharing profits in the ratio of 7:3. So clearly it is mentioned that before the change only L and M was there and they were sharing the profits in the ratio of 7:3. They admitted N for 3/7 share. 3/7 share is given. That means totally N will get 3 share out of 7 shares of profit. So we can just convert all these things into words like this. 3/7. Instead of saying 3/7, we can say like this. Out of 7 shares of profit, N will be getting 3 share of profit. What about the remaining 4 shares? Obviously remaining 4 shares belongs to whom? By default it belongs to L and M. That means meaning is like this. In future they will be sharing, dividing profit into 7 parts. Out of 7 parts, 3 parts belongs to whom? N. Remaining 4 part belongs to L and M. But out of that 4 parts, how much belongs to L, how much belongs to M is not known. Okay. So we are going to try find that out. Question is this one. Calculate the new profit sharing ratio. So for that, after saying N share, they have mentioned one more thing, which he takes 2/7 from L and 1/7 from M. That is, I said from is the main part here. Okay, 2/7 from L and 1/7 from M. Clearly it is mentioned that M is also giving some amount of share of profit to the new person. L is also giving some amount of profit to the new person. That means L and M both are giving some amount of profit to the new person N. That means indirectly they are trying to tell both have sacrificed. Hope you understood the concept. In the previous case which we discussed, where I discussed about me and my other 2 friends, where when we decide to change the profit sharing ratio, when we calculated 3:2:1, 1:2:3, only one person gained and one person sacrificed. Here one person is gaining and 2 others are sacrificing. So obviously we will be calculating, we can calculate the ratio and put it together as which ratio? Sacrificing ratio, because here majority of the partners are sacrificing. So more than one person is sacrificing, so we can put their sacrifice together and put it as a ratio. Now if I say like this, what is the sacrificing ratio here? For that we need to know how much each person is sacrificing. For that we need to find out the sacrifice of the people. So here sacrificing ratio, in order to write, what are we supposed to do? We need to find out the sacrifice of the people. They have clearly mentioned it. 2/7 is coming from L and 1/7 is coming from M. So just imagine, forget about the ratios and all that. Just imagine that I am giving 1 share of my profit to you and next person is giving 2 share of profit to you. So totally how much we gave to you? 3 share. Similar to that, so how much will be remaining with me after I give 1 share? That is the remaining share with me. That will be my new ratio. Similar to that, next person, he has given 2 shares to you. So obviously after removing that 2, whatever is remaining with him, that will be his new ratio or new share. Okay, so similar to that, here A's sacrifice. So here A is not the partner. Who are the partners? L, M and N. So clearly it is given in the question, L is sacrificing how much? 2/7 from L. 2 out of 7 shares are given by L to whom? N. That means what? L's sacrifice is how much? L's sacrifice is exactly 2/7. right? Similarly, M sacrifice, M is giving 1 by 7 share to N. That is what is given in the question, right? 1 by 7 share to N. Let me erase this part. Okay. So 1 by 7 share to N. So 1 by 7 itself is M sacrifice. That means if you are adding these two sacrifice, how much you will get? 2 by 7 plus 1 by 7. How much you will get? 3 by 7. This is actually what share? Whose share? N share. Right? So total of 2 people or 2 or more people sacrifice will be equal to the gain of the other person. Right or wrong? Obviously. So if you are adding the sacrifice of 2 or more people, you should get the gain of the other people. Similarly, if you are adding the gain of 2 or more people, you should get the sacrifice of the other people. So gain and sacrifice will be always equal. Total gain and total sacrifice will be always equal. I hope that I made it clear. Okay. So this is how you have to relate it. Now as you can see, 2 by 7, 1 by 7 denominator. So both these fractions are same. So instead of saying like L sacrifice 2 by 7 shares and M sacrifice 1 by 7 shares, you can say like this: sacrificing ratio is 2:1. Why I am writing 2:1? Because question itself says how much L is sacrificing, how much M is sacrificing. We are putting together a sacrifice in the form of a ratio, you will get the sacrificing ratio. So sacrificing ratio is 2:1. What is the question? Question is not sacrificing ratio. We need to find out how much is the new ratio. The new ratio means what? Obviously, the new person share is already given in the question. How much is new person share? 1 by 6, right? New person share is 1 by 6. So 1 by 6 when it comes, sorry, not 1 by 6, 3 by 7. 3 by 7 is given in the question as N share. So N share is 3 by 7. So N's new share we don't have to find. N itself is a new person. So 3 by 7 is the ratio. Now coming to L's and M's new share. L's new share. What do you mean by new profit sharing ratio? If all the profit share of the partners are put together after the new person comes into the business, it will become a new profit sharing ratio. So basically we are trying to find out how much is L's new share, how much is M's new share. N's new share is already given in the question. So that is already available. Only we need to find L's new share. What do you mean by new share of L? Again, just before I said one example. I gave 1 share to you and another person gave 2 shares to you. That means whatever is remaining with us will be our new share, right? Similarly, L's old share of profit was how much? We'll go and see what is the profit sharing ratio. 7:3. So out of 7 shares, he gave how much? So 7 out of 10 shares was there with him before. How 7 out of 10? Because ratio was 7:3 before. So 7 plus 3, 10. So they were dividing profit into 10 parts and 7 belongs to L and 3 belong to M. Out of 7 out of 10 shares, he gave how much? Already we know how much L gave to M. How much? We already wrote L's sacrifice is 2 by 7. So 2 by 7 if we remove. That means L's total share was 7 out of 10. We are removing 2 by 7 from it. Then whatever is remaining will be his new share or his balance share. The balance share is called actually new share. So when we are doing that, we will get the answer. So we will do that after explaining about M. What about M's new share? M's new share. Similar to this, M had 3 out of 10 shares before. Out of that, that person gave how much? M's sacrifice was how much? 1 by 7. So 1 by 7 was given to N. So M's new share 1 by 7. If you remove that 1 by 7 from M's old share, we will get his new share. So we will calculate that. Here we can cross multiply. So 7 into 7, 49. 49 minus 2 into 10, 10. Sorry, 20 minus, sorry, divided by 10 into 7, 70. So 49 minus 20, it will come as how much? 29 by 70. This is whose new share? L's new share. Similarly, M's new share. Again cross multiply. 21 minus 10 by 70. 11 by 70. Okay. So we got these two people's new share. Now how to find out the new profit sharing ratio? Calculating new share and putting it in the form of a ratio is new profit sharing ratio, right? So we will find out that how to put it into ratio, because in order to put it into ratio, the denominator part should be same for all the people. So L's and M's, it is out of 70. N's, it is not out of 70. We have to convert it into 70. For that we are multiplying by 10. So 30 by 70. Now everything is together. So we can write L share first, followed by M share, and followed by N share in order. So L's was 29, M's was 11, and N's was 30. So 29 is to 11 is to 30. This is what is called new profit sharing ratio. New profit sharing ratio means in future they will be dividing their profit into 70 parts. Out of that, the third person will be getting 30 shares and second person will be getting 11 shares and first person will be getting 29 shares. I hope I made this concept of gain, sacrifice, all these things clear to you. I hope it will help you very much for your board exam preparations. All the best. Thank you.